The Weekly Warp Pipe.
Ooh, spooky! Welcome everyone to the Weekly Warp Pipe, a podcast dedicated to retro video games, 80s and 90s toys, and all things nostalgia. This week, we're jumping in the Warp Pipe and going back to the 80s, and we're checking out some horror movies. We made a list of our top 10 horror movies, and we're going to share them with you guys. It's me, Jay, NES Addict, and special guest David Apuzzo is on the podcast. It's going to be a great episode, guys. Hope you enjoy it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Weekly Warp Pipe. I'm RussLyman.
What's up, guys? It's me, your boy, Jay, NES Addict.
And we have special guest David Apuzzo's in the house.
Hey, guys. What's going on? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Do a little backstory of David Apuzzo. Me and him, of course, been friends for quite a long time. David does photography. That's his main job. And maybe you can tell them a little bit what you've been doing recently.
So up until a couple of years ago, my whole photography career, I was doing portraits and bands and weddings and things like that. But a few years ago, I actually started photographing, being the on-set stills photographer for movies. So I've been actually photographing movies and taking all the portraits that are made up of the posters. So I got to work with some really cool actors, through the whole thing. And I started a new movie in about 2 weeks. The first week of November, I'm actually working on a slasher movie. So
nice.
It kind of goes along with today.
That's what I said. Dave's been very excited with which movie is it? It just came out, just premiered?
No, it's coming. Well, it premiered in London just a couple of weeks ago. It's called She Came from the Woods. It is a throwback horror flick, like a throwback 80s style. Takes place in the 80s, I should say.
Perfect.
And it stars Cara Buono, who is in Stranger Things. That's Mike's mom.
Gotcha.
And it also stars William Sadler, who, for me, I know him as the Grim Reaper in Bill and Ted's movies. And also, but he was also in Shawshank Redemption and Die Hard 2. And along with some other, actors and that might be known to, someone that really watches a lot of TV or something. But
Gotcha.
But those are the two big names. But yeah, I'm excited for that one. I saw a little teaser, the poster's 90% done, and I'm so excited for it. I can't wait.
And it's based off of, you showed me a short that they kind of made, and then it got picked up by a company to be okay, let's make a feature film.
So basically, the producers, the writers that wrote the movie, Eric and Carson Bloomquist, they're brothers. They did a short called She Came from the Woods, which you can actually find on YouTube. Nice. So you can actually see the short on YouTube. And they went to Film Fest and did all this stuff, and they won some awards. And they actually wrote this movie, I think it was 8 or 9 years ago. And they've been just kind of perfecting it. And they finally, last year, said, let's do it. And we spent 10, 12 days, all night shoots, basically working 12-hour days. And it's fun. It's nice. Really fun.
And it was filmed in Connecticut. It was filmed in Connecticut.
It was filmed at a campground. It does take place at a campground the final day, but I don't want to spoil anything. So, but if you go on YouTube, the movie is based on the short. So they did the short, and then they got funding and everything. And so they put it into a feature length film.
Does the short give you a reasonable idea of what you can expect?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of the same story, but it's just a feature length,
more fleshed out.
Yeah, you get to understand who the characters are, and there's even more characters and things like that. And cool. So it's very cool. I'm excited for it.
Nice. Well, that brings us to our topic of the podcast is going to be our top 10 80s horror movies. We all made separate lists. I'm sure we're going to have some overlapping and similar movie titles that we picked. But yeah, it should be a good time. We're going to each say a movie and maybe have a little quick discussion about it. I'll start things off with the list. No particular order. I just kind of listed these on here, but
same here.
In 1985, this is Fright Night. Not sure if you've seen that one, Jay or Dave.
I haven't.
I actually haven't. I've had it on VHS, but then I sold it on Whatnot, so I never got to watch it.
They actually have done a remake of this movie as well, but we're discussing the original one. The premise is there's this boy on the street, and there's some new neighbors that move next door, and they end up being a vampire. That the movers come at night, and he has speculations on maybe they're a vampire, maybe they're not. And the guy comes over a few times, and he can't come into the house unless you invite the vampire in. And eventually the mom does invite him in for cookies or something silly. And he's like, no, now he's going to try to come and kill me. Super fun, super 80s. And if you're, into vampires, it's definitely a good one to check out. Fright Night. The poster's awesome too. It has like almost this like cloud of like that's in the shape of like a vampire face.
I have seen the cover art, and it is pretty sick.
Yeah. So, fun fact on that is, I'm pretty sure that Are You Afraid of the Dark ripped off that.
Oh yeah,
there was an episode very similar. Very similar.
Bet. Nice. I'll have to look that up. That's a classic series too.
So is it campy, or is it more of a like?
Yeah. It rides that border, because so what happens is the boy watches this like cool late night public access show where this guy's a vampire hunter, right? Does the whole bit. So he goes to the show to like get his help, but the guy is, he's a fraud. He's just doing the TV show. He's not really a vampire hunter, but he ends up like trying to fight the vampire to be like, okay, I can do this in real life. So it's like, okay. So fun concept with that. In the remake that came out, I don't know what year, the person that plays the vampire hunter he also played Doctor Who in one of the seasons. What the heck is his name? David, I think it's David something. David Tennant. David Apuzzo. David Tennant, I believe. Yeah.
Nice.
But, so that's my number one.
Nice. Okay, do you know anywhere you can watch that currently?
So there's actually there's an app called Just Watch.
There you go.
So there's an app called Just Watch, and you can actually look up any movie, and it'll tell you where it streams, if it costs money or if it's free.
That's amazing.
So I'll look it up right now. So
dude, you're the man, David.
So it's Fright Night. Let's see here. Fright Night right here.
Mm-hmm.
You could stream it on Fubo, and you could rent it for $3.99 in 4K on Apple TV. Oh, it is also on AMC Plus, DirecTV, Freeform, and Sling.
What was
That's where
the
you can
first
watch
one?
it for free. Fubu. Oh, I'm sorry, Fubo. It's not
Fubo.
Fubu.
I'm like,
it's not the clothing company. Yeah, no, it's Fubo. Fubo.
Is that free? Does anybody know?
Fubo, I believe, is a free app. Yeah.
Cool.
You probably download it on your Fire Stick or whatever.
Done.
Nice.
But yeah, download the app. Just Watch. If you're ever looking to see if a movie's streaming, you just type it in there and it'll show up.
That's very cool.
Sweet. Yeah. All right, who wants to go next?
How about it, David?
Yeah, you go.
Sure?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
The guest will go. So mine are not in order at all either. So I'm just gonna start picking, and maybe some will overlap. But my first pick is Monster Squad.
Nice.
It's on my list.
Are you guys? It is on your list.
Yes.
Okay. So are you, Jay, familiar with Monster Squad?
Sadly, I am not familiar with it.
What?
I know, right? It's a travesty.
Jay, this is
my wife has never seen it either.
Fair enough.
So this movie is so good. It's actually it's actually a little pricier on VHS as well. It's a bunch of kids who basically they're hunting monsters, right?
It's basically Goonies, but with monsters. So you think of that way.
Yeah, pretty much. And like these monsters just come back, and then they start, I don't want to say terrorizing, but yeah, they're like terrorizing the town. And the kids basically.
Let's say it's the classic horror movies, monsters.
Yes.
Mummy, Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, Wolfman, the creature from the Black Lagoon, like all those like universal monsters.
Nice.
But like Russ said, it's all with kids. So like the kids are out there, trying to fight the monsters and have them go back to where they came from, and it's great, and it's got the classic line, Wolfman's got nards.
Kick him in the nards. Kick him in the nards.
It's so good.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, that's my first pick, but yeah, mine are not in order at all.
Well, that's fine. That we'll keep it with that because mine aren't in order either. Number one that I wrote down was The Shining.
Oh, nice.
That is on my list.
Classic.
Yeah, dude. Jack Nicholson freaking killed it in that movie. It's been spoofed by The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has Shelley Duvall is also in it.
Red Rum. I remember seeing this movie when I was a kid and being like, wow, this is actually pretty scary. So
it's
psychologically too. And
yeah.
And it's also, from what I read and what, a lot of videos that I've watched on YouTube, it's one of the top selections. And we just made it too, because it was in 1980.
Yeah, it was made in 1980. Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So that's a great one. Yeah. And it's long too. It's so long. Yeah.
Nice.
Go ahead, Russ.
All right. What do we got? I'm sure this is on David's list, but Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Boom. Oh, you got the Blu-ray?
So I have the Blu-ray because the VHS tape is like $200.
Wow. How about that? Yeah.
So
horror
VHS.
If you guys don't know, horror VHS, some big money.
So the VHS, there's two versions of it. The first printing is about $200. And then the second printing, or like the greatest hits version, whatever you want to call it, like the classics version, that goes for about like 70 to 75.
Oh, not bad.
So I have the Blu-ray.
Yeah, I bought the Blu-ray as well. Classic 80s, like campy B horror movie, I would say.
Yeah.
It's these clowns end up landing on Earth. Their spaceship looks like a circus tent. And when they capture people, they put them in cotton candy cocoons. Okay.
That's awesome.
And then it just like deteriorates them.
Right. Kind of eats away.
Eats at their flesh. Yeah.
And then you got each clown kind of has his own gimmick. The one that does shadow puppets on the wall, and the shadow puppet actually he does like a T-Rex and it eats someone and actually is eating the person.
Nice.
And then they have like popcorn guns. If you end up going to Spirit Halloween, they have a bunch of merch there right now.
I got them. I got all of it.
They got Funko Pops. You could get the gun. And they have one of the giant clowns like as a display. Super fun 80s movie. And yeah, good time.
And that's from 1988 when that was released.
They're coming out with the video game.
Yes.
What?
Yeah. I think it's set for next year though, but I did see that it's coming out. And
what console?
Ain't gonna be on Switch though.
Right, it's gonna be probably PS4, Steam, and Xbox.
Dang it,
One, and then the other new gen.
Oh well.
Cool.
Whose turn is it? Am I?
Yours, David. Have at it.
All right. Next one. They Live.
They Live.
Nice.
You guys know about They Live?
I actually do know about They Live. The reason I know about that is because it was featured in a skateboarding magazine.
Really?
Okay.
Back in the day.
Really? And why is that?
Remember,
why was it featured?
I don't remember. I mean, I was a kid when I was reading it because I was all into the skateboarding stuff. But I just remember it being so creepy without their skin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when you put the sunglasses on, then you see like the true, like if they're an alien or not.
Yeah.
So it stars Roddy Piper.
Yep, that was the crazy part.
That's
superstar. Right. And it also has,
It was actually not a skateboarding magazine. It was a random wrestling magazine that I got with my skateboarding magazine.
That makes more sense.
That makes total sense. Yeah. And it also stars Keith David. Do you guys know who Keith David is?
Don't think so.
So Keith David was also in, have you guys ever seen Men at Work?
I'm sure I have.
With Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen?
No.
Sorry, guy. I'm an 80s movie guy.
That's okay.
So anyway, it also features. So basically, the movie premise is Roddy Piper goes and gets this pair of glasses, and this is just like the quick version. He finds these glasses, and they're like X-ray glasses. So he puts on the glasses, and he sees like a parallel universe almost. So he can see like the aliens. So the people that are actually aliens, they're humans in disguise. or aliens, and I don't know what's the
They
proper
look like
terminology
humans
of it?
on the outside, but with the glasses,
Correct.
you can see
Yes,
they are
you can
aliens.
see
Their true form.
You're right.
their true form. And there's all these signs like like consume, like it's very political, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it also features the most epic fight scene in
Yes.
cinematic history. It's
Really?
literally like a third of the movie. It's crazy. And it's just Keith David and Roddy Piper just beating each other up. It's just
Well, he's
it's
trying
crazy.
to put the glasses on him to show him, like,
Yes,
look, there's
yes.
aliens, and the guy's like, get away from me, man, and they're just going at it until he finally can get the glasses on him, and he sees an alien. He's like, oh,
Yeah,
geez.
and Jay, it features the classic line, I've come here to kick some ass and chew some bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum.
Yeah. This movie was on, I think it was Netflix within the last 2-3 years, because I remember watching it one day. I don't know how far into it I got, but I remember watching it for a little while just because I remembered it.
Yeah, it's great. So that's my next pick.
Fun fact with that: if you play Bart versus the Space Mutants, if you put on the shades, you can see the aliens in the game. So
there you go. Right. All right, my number 2 is the Blob.
Oh, nice, classic.
It's about this
classic
this pink blob goo that comes from space, and it kind of, I can't remember too much about it. I remember seeing it as a kid and just thinking it was really neat. More than anything.
Well, it grows, right? Every time it eats, it gets bigger.
Yeah, it gets bigger and bigger. Yep. That's about all I remember of it, but I remember liking it. So that's all it needed to make my list.
Right.
Such a minimal knowledge of horror.
Who's the lead actor in that?
It's a great question.
Remember?
Let me look.
That's a great question.
Get your notes, Jay.
Yes, my notes. I thought that was number 4.
Now, I want to say it was a remake too, that the one you're putting, because I want to say the original Blob was like older, like 50s or like
maybe the one I saw was definitely 80s-esque. So
okay.
I'm having a hard time locating where I found this at on this website. So I don't know who the main actor is. If I find it in a minute, I'll let you know. But I just remember thinking it was a cool premise, and the Blob was kind of neat because it was like it was almost like the pink slime in Ghostbusters 2. So it wasn't like overly scary, it was just a blob. Like, how scary can that be? But it was kind of neat seeing it like devour people.
All right, let's see. It says which ones are their actor names and which ones
the
name of the movie?
Kevin Dillon was
Kevin Dillon. Yeah,
I don't even know who that is.
1988. This guy
Kevin
came out.
Dillon I think he's related to Matt Dillon.
That's funny.
Would check out.
He looks just like him if you look up a picture of him.
But anyway, yeah, the Blob.
Perfect.
Blob, great one. Great pick. And that was 1988, by the way.
Yeah. Number 3. I'm going with my boy, Freddy Krueger.
Freddy.
Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 3, Dream Warriors.
That's on my list. On my list.
I know the other ones are classic, but like Dream Warriors had a dope song, and I thought it was so cool that the kids that fell asleep kind of want to take control of their dream, and they're like, you know what, I'm a karate guy, I'm a wizard in my dream, so they can almost like fight Freddy a little bit better rather than just being so vulnerable and like getting scared and running away.
What was your favorite kill in that movie? Do you remember them? Because obviously, I mean, Jay, you've seen the Friday the 13th movies, right?
Yeah, I've seen Friday the 13th.
I'm sorry, not Friday the 13th. Nightmare on Elm Street.
I have not seen the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I was too scared of it as a kid.
Okay, so Freddy has this crazy way of killing each one of his victims, and this one, in my opinion, has the best kill of the entire series.
Is it the TV one? Is in this one?
That is the TV one. Yes,
is that the one you're talking about?
No.
What do you think is the best kill in this one?
The best kill in this one for me is when Freddy takes the veins out of the arms and then like walks them like they're a puppet. He's like using like puppeteer, he's using this. And he's like walking them. It's crazy.
That's creepy. Yeah,
that sounds gross.
It's
awesome. Some good special effects in this for sure.
I don't know if you can see that, but it's also got the one where like Freddy eats like he's the snake and he eats her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But Dream Warriors has the theme song Dream Warriors by Dokken, 80s metal. So yeah.
So good.
So that is on my list.
Nice. That made your list
and
as
it's
well.
funny too because there's what, like 7 or 8 movies and we both picked the same one.
Yeah. I mean, first one's a classic, but I was like, you know what? Let me go off the beaten path. I'm not even sure. Did the first one come out in the 80s or was it?
Yes, it did. Yep.
Okay.
84, right?
84. And the first one it was actually Johnny Depp's first film.
Right. Very young Johnny Depp.
And actually Dream Warriors was Patricia Arquette's very first movie.
There you go, dropping some more movie knowledge. That's why we have David on.
Exactly. David's the man.
Let's see if I have anything else in my notes since we're on it. Nightmare on Elm Street. Nope, that was it. In 1987 it was.
Nice. Dream Warriors.
So my next one is from 1987 as well. Funny story. When I labeled all these out, 5 of my movies are from 1987.
What a year for movies.
And then 3 of them were from 1988.
Okay.
So I was 7 and 8 years old, which makes sense because that's probably around the age where you start to get into like more of the adult horror movies. You know what I mean? So my next one, The Lost Boys.
Nice.
Very cool.
Do you guys know about this one? Russ,
Sadly,
I know you
no.
know about this one.
I don't.
No?
To this day, I won't eat white rice. No.
So we'll tell Jay the story about the white rice.
So it's so this is a vampire movie based on vampire, and Corey Feldman's in it, I believe.
Yep.
Too.
So Corey Feldman's in it.
Yeah.
Corey Haim's in it. You ready
Makes
for this
sense.
list, Jay?
Yeah.
You ready for this?
Lay it on me.
Kiefer Sutherland, Alex Winter, and then also Diane. I don't know how you pronounce your last name. Diane Weist. Weist. That is the mother from Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, nice.
So they're all in this movie.
And yeah, it takes place in California, and there's a scene where they're trying. I think one of the kids is like hanging out with them, and they're eating Chinese food, and the kid's eating it, and it cuts away, and it cuts back, and then the kid is eating maggots instead of white rice, and it's just like.
But he's actually eating white rice. It's just in his
psychologically.
It's a vampire like mind game. He takes him down to his lair. All the vampires take them down into the lair, and they're kind of like all hanging out. And he starts, he offers him rice, and it's in like a. It's in like a Chinese container. Yeah. And then there's just like a camera pan down to it, and it's just a maggots. He's like, how are those maggots? And then he sees them, but then it changes back. So
Gross.
But it's a great movie. I actually just watched it. It was on TV the other night, and I didn't get to finish it. So I just watched it the rest of it an hour ago. Yeah. Wow. It's so good.
I haven't seen it in quite some time. So the plot is wishy-washy, but I know it's a classic 80s horror movie. For sure.
I mean, basically, the story is this family moves. I think they move with the grandfather into this new town, and then they go into town, and then they kind of become involved with the vampires. Corey Feldman's character works at a comic book shop, and he talks to Corey Haim, who's the younger brother of the main guy. And anyway, the main guy ends up turning into the vampire, and then goes after the main vampire, and they're trying to kill the vampires. And then at the end, there is a twist. So I'm not going to spoil it because I know Jay, you haven't seen it.
One day
you got to watch it. But there is a twist at the end, which is really interesting because you didn't really see a lot of twists around that time.
Gotcha.
Nice.
You pulled an M. Night Shyamalan.
It was great.
All right, I'm cheating for number 3 for me. Okay,
perfect.
So throw me a bone here, but Ghostbusters,
my all-time favorite.
Well, because you're saying it's not really a horror movie. That's what you're saying, cheating.
Yeah, it's cheating a little bit. 1984 Ghostbusters, classic film. Everybody's seen it. There's not much to say about it. It's just a fun time, and
it's got ghosts.
Yeah,
it's got
ghosts.
Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
They're scientists. I
Comedy.
mean,
When I was a kid, the library scene creeped me out so
Yeah.
hardcore.
Yeah, with that lady.
the librarian.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say that, and funny. So my daughter's going to be just turning 4, but her third birthday party was all Ghostbusters themed,
Yeah.
and she plays with my old firehouse, and I bought her all the toys and everything like that, and doesn't phase her. That librarian doesn't phase her.
The
I'm
other
like,
thing that I
wow.
didn't like was the lady that Sigourney Weaver plays when she has like these bubbles all over.
No,
She just
that's not Sigourney Weaver. That's Gozer.
Okay, you know what
So
I mean.
Sigourney Weaver's character turns into the terror dog.
Oh,
One of the dogs. Yeah.
Okay, then Gozer. My bad. Sorry.
Yes.
Anyway,
Gozer has all the bubbles.
Yeah. So she looks, or he, or whatever it is, looks super creepy with all that stuff on it.
I like it that you said that, because there's a line in the movie that's like, I thought Gozer was a man. And they're like, it's whatever it wants to be.
Yeah. I actually remember that now, but that's funny. Yeah. 'Cause I don't know what it is, but yeah.
I actually met Ernie Hudson years ago at
Nice.
Rhode Island Comic Con before it was like huge.
Was he like the coolest dude ever?
He's awesome. I mean, Ghostbusters is my favorite movie. I own a lot of I have a whole glass case just of Ghostbusters stuff. But yeah, it's my jam, and I didn't include it in my list for the fact that I felt it was just a little bit more comedy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll try to keep it.
But I don't have a massive horror knowledge, so
But I'm glad that it's in the list.
Yes, it's
Trust
in the
me,
list.
like it makes me happy. I got my mug.
There you go.
I'm ready to go.
I was gonna put on my Ghostbusters shirt, but gotta keep it diverse.
Yeah.
So I did wear my Nightmare on Elm Street shirt, but on my list, Friday the 13th again, Part 3, 1982. Part 1 obviously was in the 70s, but I chose Part 3 because you finally get Jason with his mask, with the iconic mask. Part 2, he has a bag over his head.
Yeah.
So not as classic. And this one's in 3D. If you like that thing.
Talk about like the not showing him in the mask until like the third movie, like just the slow burn of how many years before you see him with the mask.
That became so iconic. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. It's crazy.
Yeah, super fun.
And I'm wondering, like, because I don't remember, I never really watched, I watched more of the Nightmare on Elm Street. I didn't really watch a lot of the Friday the 13th. So I'm wondering too, like from that time frame, because obviously we were all too young, like in the early 80s. I was born in 1980. So my whole thing is, I wonder what it was like for people going to the movies to see it for the first time and being like they didn't know that he was going to have a mask.
Yeah.
I don't know if the directors envisioned him like having this long series and being like this iconic character. So I'm interested to see, and I should really look it up and research it, but like what made that change, and then all of a sudden it just became iconic. You know what I mean? Like, was it meant to be a slow burn?
Because in the first one, spoiler, it's not Jason that's doing the killing, okay?
It's mom.
Right.
It's his mom.
Right.
So, a lot of, you're like, oh, okay. So then finally in the second one, you're like, oh, now it's Jason doing the killing, but he just has this sack over his head with like an eye cut out. And until he ends up finding the mask in the third one. So I wonder if, they had almost as similar with where Halloween started, where they kind of wanted it to almost be different each movie or whatever. And then they're like, what? Scrap that. It's just going to be Michael Myers from now on. And when maybe the box office sales were so good for 3, they're like, you know what? Stick with the mask. That's a good look. And we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Is it the first movie where he pops out of the lake at the end and he's like a melted
boy.
little boy?
Yeah.
Well, I was saying the melt. I think he's just like disformed, I guess.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Like he's like been in the bottom of a lake for the last 30 years. He's all slimed up and looking gross. His body parts are falling apart.
It is pretty gross.
Funny,
but, I laughed so hard when that happened. I was like, oh my God, I didn't expect it.
Right. Yeah, that was a good, nice, ending with that. And that, I believe, wasn't the original ending. I had watched, if you watch the movies that made us, they have Friday the 13th. They have a whole horror one with everything. And we had watched that. And I think they didn't want that as like the original ending. It was something different. But I ended up getting a hockey mask signed by that actor, the boy,
Nice.
which he technically plays Jason, but not in the hockey mask.
Right.
So it's kind of like
child form.
Yeah.
He's young Jason. Yeah.
Young Jason.
I just want to say one more quick shout out. How many of you out there listening or watching saw these Friday the 13th movies on USA?
Yes, nice.
Because that's where I watched all of them.
That's where you watched them.
Yeah, all cut up and
all the scary stuff was taken out pretty much.
It was Thursday the 12th.
There you go.
Nice. All right, my turn?
Yeah.
All right, so my turn. Okay, so this one, so because Jay went with the route of Ghostbusters and kind of like borderline, I have kind of a borderline one myself. It is from 1988.
Yep.
Beetlejuice.
Dude, that made my list. That made
your list too?
Yeah.
Okay, so Beetlejuice, obviously iconic. I know Russ just went to go see the stage show.
Yeah. That was awesome.
I just introduced this to my daughter like a few days ago, and she loves it. And so I'm excited. Obviously Michael Keaton is Beetlejuice.
Killed it.
So good.
Gina Davis. It's got Alec Baldwin.
Catherine
O'Hara. And it also has Winona Ryder, the very young Winona Ryder.
That's right.
Yep. I mean, it's just like, it's a killer cast, and it's got humor. Mm-hmm. It's got a little bit of horror in there. So when I looked it up, it classified as fantasy horror. So I went with it because, I mean, I would say that, it's got some horror tendencies in it. I mean, they're dead.
Nice freaking model.
Yeah.
The best line ever.
Yeah. So Beetlejuice, and he doesn't actually show up until like halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was watching it and I was like, what a build-up. So fantasy horror. Oh, it was actually fantasy horror comedy.
Right, obviously comedy.
Sometimes my wife
randomly genres in one.
Sings the daylight come and we
wanna go home.
The first time I showed that to my daughter Kylie, she loved it. And now they actually have she actually prefers the ending when Lydia floats up and does the dance.
With the football team.
With the football team. And they actually this year I saw at Spirit Halloween, they make one of those, those like little dancing people that you push the button and they dance.
Oh yeah.
So they have a Lydia that's an electronic Lydia, and you push the button, it plays the song, and she does a little jig, which is
nice,
awesome. Yeah.
Also had a really fun cartoon as well.
Oh, great cartoon.
And I just actually picked up from Amazon, the full
series.
I think it's like 8 discs or something. It's the full series of the Beetlejuice cartoon.
I used to have one of them on VHS. I don't know where it's went after all these years.
Yeah, those are not easy to find on VHS for sure. They're not expensive. So if you want to get them, they're not expensive at all. Mm-hmm. They may run you like $6 or $7 a piece. Not bad at all. Nice. And actually the movie VHS is a very common VHS. You can get this for less than $5.
Nice.
Made thousands of those.
Yeah. So Beetlejuice.
Sweet. Well, what else you got in your list, Jay, since that was already on there?
So moving on, this is an action adventure horror 1987, Predator with
nice.
Schwarzenegger.
I did see that come up. Yeah.
I thought you were going to go in another direction for a second.
Yep, Predator. Just remember all the hype around it as a kid, and when it first came on, it takes a little while to get in the jungle and see what the Predator is, and I was like, oh god, what is this going to be?
Right.
I just thought what was the character design for the Predator was really neat. Yeah, he kind of had like the weird hair, dread-like type hair, and his face opened up, and he had And I liked how it was like a hunt. I feel like the Predator tried to be somewhat fairer with Schwarzenegger. I don't know. Like he tried to make it more fun, I don't know.
Well, it's all game to them. Like that's their thing, the hunt. Like they get kicks out of hunting their prey. So the Predator probably was like, oh, nice. Okay, this guy is actually a good match.
He's more fun.
Yeah, than the other guys who are pushovers.
Yeah.
And
So I
just
thought that was cool.
the sound that the predator makes is definitely, scary, and that's iconic. If someone,
Yeah.
And
I
it
mean,
was
I
cool
can't
at the end when he's like
replicate it.
taking his mask off and you can like see his face for real for the first time.
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
fantastic.
Great
Yeah,
one. Great
good
pick.
one. I got one here from 1988, Pumpkinhead.
Oh yeah. It's
This
not on my list, but yeah, I know Pumpkinhead.
This movie terrified me when I was little. Most of these movies that I've seen with these horror movies, I ended up seeing because on the weekends I'd go spend time with my dad, and we would go to the video rental store. I'd rent a Nintendo game, and he would get some horror movies, and he'd just put them on, and sometimes he'd fall asleep or whatever. So I ended up watching them, and
Nice.
something with the pumpkin head scared the heck out of me.
Super creepy.
Yeah, it's like it's got long, skinny arms and like obviously a pumpkin head, but it was like all gross looking and scary. They made it quite a few of them, but the classic one, I'm like, I have since gone back and watched it. Not as afraid, but it stuck
Which
with
is
me.
funny too. Yeah, it's funny too because the opening sequence of Nightmare Before Christmas, Jack Skellington is actually dressed up in his Halloween costume, and he's a pumpkin head.
Yeah, with the long skinny arms.
Wow, see?
Yeah, and then he dives into the like ooze or slime, and then he arises as
Right,
the pumpkin
in the
king.
form.
Yeah. So interesting, like little maybe that was inspired there.
Probably.
Could be.
He is the Pumpkin King. They do call him the Pumpkin King, even though he's a skeleton.
Jack, the Pumpkin King.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, I'm up?
You're up.
Okay. So my next one. So we've done some fairly good, some horror, like real horror stuff.
Yeah. Scary.
So I'm going to go with Evil Dead 2.
Oh, nice. Kind of comedy, comedy horror.
So I prefer
genre.
Evil Dead 2 over Evil Dead 1 because I feel like, Jay, have you seen these?
I haven't.
Okay, so this is Bruce Campbell. I'm sure you know the character. He's got the chainsaw as the hand.
No.
No,
and his boomstick.
His boomstick. Yep. So anyway, the first one, I feel like they made the movie, and took it fairly seriously, but it comes off extremely cheesy and campy.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel what they did in the second one is I feel that they kind of got that vibe and completely just went off the rails, campy and like fun, and basically
they really leaned into it.
They just owned it. Yeah.
They made fun of themselves basically. And this one is just, I mean, Bruce Campbell is fantastic in this. Obviously the third one that came out was Army of Darkness.
Yes.
That came out a few years later. And that one takes place like there's like time travel and things like that, and takes place in like medieval times and stuff. But like, yeah, so Evil Dead 2, Jay, you got some homework to do, buddy.
I do. It sounds like I got a lot of homework to do for sure.
Well, it's spooky season, so you got plenty of time.
We're still early in the month, so you got time.
Yeah. What do you got, Jay?
All right. So this is 1986 drama horror sci-fi. I hope this one gives you guys a little bit of a surprise. Going with The Fly.
Oh, okay.
I would consider that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, with Jeff Goldblum. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so creepy watching him slowly turn into this other creature that's pretty grotesque and disgusting.
It is pretty gross, like the transformation, like the whole like cinematic process of
great special effects on that.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
Oh, the one thing that got me in that movie was the fingernails.
Yeah, when they kind of pull off.
And they just pull off. Yeah, I can't watch
gross.
that.
That's pretty gross.
So yeah, The Fly. Yeah, good choice.
Yeah, pretty cool
Good
movie.
one. I would say fun fact, I was a big Bush fan growing up, the band Bush.
Me too.
And they had a song called Greedy Fly.
Greedy Fly.
And they did a dope video on that. And I feel like they kind of maybe paid some homage to that.
I think they use the same kind of color scheme as it, like the greens and the reds and stuff. Yeah.
Sweet.
Cool.
Nice.
Good one. I'm going to say this one might be on David's list. 1985, going with House.
I remember House.
Not quite.
Not quite close.
Not quite.
So
Close.
I love the movie poster of this because it's a like rotting hand pressing the doorbell at a house. And essentially, you know, this guy's living in this house and he wakes up one night and there's like a monster like in his closet that attacks him or something like that.
Yeah.
And almost like Narnia, right? You go into the closet. Yeah. It's a whole nother world in there. And I think he was in Vietnam, or was his buddy in there ends up being in Vietnam? Because I don't remember. I know one of the it's like a zombie Vietnam guy that's coming after him. So I don't know if it was one of his buddies when he was in Vietnam, but super creepy and has that like mystical essence to it. They did come out with a sequel, which I think was more comedy-ish. And a lot of people like that one too, but classic House.
Classic House. Well, my next one is House 2.
What? That's so funny.
So there's the hand with the key.
Yeah.
So mine is House 2, and Russ is completely right. They went more campy with it, and that's what I loved about it. It's just so like making fun of the whole genre. It's got I don't know if you remember, it's got the grandpa.
Yes. With the like his caterpillar dog thing.
Yeah. It's great. So weird. It's not to be like taken seriously, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know if that's what they were going for. But the catchphrase is, it's an all new house with brand new owners.
There you go.
But so it's basically the same story.
Right.
So like they go in, when you go into all the rooms, like the rooms are all kind of like themed and stuff. Like they go into like the jungle, and they, so it's like it's got it, like Russ said, it's like mystical and it's great. And I think this one was, House 2, the second story, 1987. It had, who's that? Oh yeah, there you go.
There's the dog caterpillar thing.
Dog.
So gross.
For those watching on YouTube, it's cute though. Like it's not like a mean dog. It's like really cute and like comes up to you, and it's like a dog. What is that? Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's so good. It almost looks like a boglin there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does look like a boglin, exactly.
It has Bill Maher in it. So I don't know if you guys know who Bill Maher is.
Yeah.
And I forgot who's this guy's the lead character's name. I don't know how you pronounce his name. It's Arye. I don't know if that's like Ari. Well, anyway, his name is Ari Gross. He later, just a couple years ago, played the judge in Better Call Saul. So he's still kicking, still at it.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, but House 2, yeah. So Jay, House 1 and House 2, it's on your list.
I got a long list. I got to find some time somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, I'm cheating again. 1984 comedy fantasy horror. I was afraid these things lived under my bed as a very young child in 1985, 86.
Okay.
Gremlins.
Oh, Gremlins.
Yeah.
Nice.
Love Gremlins.
There it is. Of course, Dave's got the VHS.
It's on my list.
It scared me as a child, but later when I watched it in my teens, I was like, this is amazing. I love the scene where the little I guess it's Spike's Mogwai is playing Donkey Kong in the little arcade.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love my favorite scene in the whole movie that made me laugh the hardest was when the old lady shoots herself out the roof on the
stairs. Yes. She's on the stairs going up, and then she just takes off.
Right out the window, right out the roof.
So that was what year was that?
84.
84. So that has Zach Galligan. It also has Phoebe Cates.
Yep.
Which you guys, Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Mm-hmm.
It also has Judge Reinhold, who is also in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And of course, Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman's in that as well.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And
he's the kid that's... Yeah, go ahead.
Two things. One, it's a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie.
It takes place during Christmas. Also, fun fact, it's also shot on the same lot of Back to the Future was shot on.
Nice.
Yeah, because I think isn't the clock tower in it?
Yeah, yeah. But it's
That's
obviously
so sick.
you're not thinking
But
like
it's winter time, so
right.
there's snow all over the place. And yeah, it's totally a Christmas movie because Gizmo
Is a
is
gift.
given
Is
as
it?
a gift.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one, I mean, that's a classic one. Now,
For
do you
sure.
have now, Jay? You mentioned Gremlins. Now, what's your take on Gremlins 2?
Well, it's the one thing that I own.
He does have that on DVD.
Nice,
Kind of
nice.
like with House 2, went very campy.
Yes.
Yes,
A
yes.
lot of fun gremlins in this one. There's like a fruit gremlin. There's one that's very smart and intellectual.
Yeah,
There's a
yes.
girl gremlin that's like kissing on
Mhm.
everybody. There's a
Yeah.
bat gremlin, spider gremlin. Very cool.
All bosses in the NES game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very fun. Very fun.
I mean, that seems to be like the theme right now. Is like House 2 was campy,
Right.
Um,
Evil Dead 2.
Evil Dead 2, Gremlins. What was the one other one that we were just talking about too? That we were just talking about one too, and I'm like, oh, the second one, Ghostbusters.
yeah.
Ghostbusters 2 was completely way more comedy.
Yep.
They went more in that direction for the second one as
Ninja
well.
Turtles 2.
Yeah. I love
that was the way to go.
That they're like on set and there's like this horror guy, the grandpa guy kind of looks like the guy from the Monsters. And
Yeah.
just it's a fun movie. I remember one of my memories of this movie as a kid was I stayed at a friend's house and they actually had cable, we didn't.
Mhm.
And this was like playing kind of like on a repeat roll on HBO, and so I watched it a couple times while I was there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just a lot of fun.
Sweet. I'll go back to some more horror, I would say.
Do it.
Classic 1984, Children of the Corn.
That's classic.
We just watched this. I think last year I showed my wife to it. It was Halloween time.
Are you talking about the original?
I assume this is the original one. Well, I looked it up because Stephen King made a short on it, and this is based on that. So I don't know when the short came out.
I think I've seen this movie. Russ, give me a refresher.
Yeah. So there's this town that's in somewhere where there's cornfields. I don't know where, Iowa or something like that. And the kids kind of plan this thing to like kill all the adults in the town. And, this they're hearing something, I guess, in the corn. So eventually there's this couple that's driving through. They're having like car trouble. So they end up coming through this town and they're like, where's all the, the parents? And there's two kids that aren't in like the cult, and they kind of give them the rundown. This guy, Malachi, is kind of like the leader of the pack, and they have to, have sacrifices for the beast that's coming in the corn, and you can't disobey him. Just creepy because it's a bunch of kids killing people. So, and they
in a cornfield,
and they, much like the other Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th, there's like 7 of them. They just kept going with the Children of the Corn, and they even had some in the city where they had like cornfields in like a warehouse so they could get the beast. But
that was 84, 85, something around there.
Let's see, 84. Yeah.
84.
1984.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I'm out.
But that was it? You tapped out? Okay.
Yeah, well, no, because we're you guys we kind of overlapped a little bit.
Right. No.
So
I have 2 more that aren't on the list.
You have 2 more. So I do have another one. And I think I do have like a couple of backups here. But Russ probably has this one on his list. You ready, Russ?
Ready.
I know this is like Russ's favorite movie. I'm pretty sure.
The Burbs. It's on the list. We talked about this movie before when we talked about 80s movies on the podcast previously. So, but
Jay, are you familiar?
It sounds so familiar, but fill me in.
Well, it's starring Tom Hanks and Russ. Why don't you? It was on your list, so why don't you go ahead and take it?
Classic 80s. It's comedy horror. You're living in this cul-de-sac in small town USA. Okay, everyone's neighbors are friendly, talking to everyone. Corey Feldman's in this one too, as well. So he's like one of the neighbor kids, and of course, these new neighbors move in across the street, and you're like, okay, who are these neighbors? No one met them. Very creepy. They kind of see things going on at night, and it just kind of escalates, and you start, thinking, all right, what's happening down there? And they keep trying to explore and go over there, but they don't want to go over there.
Right. So they end up going like over the fence, and they actually go in and they start digging, and they're like looking for like bones and stuff. They think they're killing people and like doing all this stuff. Oh, it's so good. It's so classic.
Sounds like the movie Disturbia with Shia LaBeouf.
I've never seen that one.
It's really good.
Yeah. So The Burbs is, so if you got to check this one out. It also actually his best friend, and I think Russ, I might have mentioned this to you. His best friend in the movie is actually the villain in Little Monsters.
It's hard. I mean, he's got a lot of prosthetics on.
He's got all his prosthetics. Movie. Yeah. And also Carrie Fisher's in this.
I was going to say, Carrie Fisher plays Tom Hanks's wife in it.
Wow.
Yes.
So great
The
cast.
Burbs.
Check it out, definitely.
Cool. I just saw Jay just take a big I got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I got like 15 movies to watch now.
Yeah. What do you got, Jay?
All right, so this I have 3 movies left. This is the scariest. This was my all-time scariest movie as a child. This movie gave me nightmares. Not so much the first part of the movie, but the second part. Stephen King's Cat's Eye.
Oh, okay. I never seen that one.
I never seen that either.
I'll just tell you the freakiest part. Drew Barrymore's in it. Okay. A young Drew Barrymore. Everybody else, I have no idea who they are. I can tell you James Woods is in it. Alan King is in it. Kenneth McMillan is in it. And I don't know who these people are. But the premise is this cat kind of saves the day. Okay. And the first half of the movie, I don't exactly remember what happens. It's like, I think some guy's trying to de-alive himself or whatever. But the second part, this cat shows up at this family's house, and they have this little girl. And basically the premise is there is this creepy little troll that lives in the wall.
Okay.
And it's so disgusting looking and creepy. And one,
like it comes out of the wall and you can see it.
Okay. Yeah. It comes out of the wall and it climbs up her bed, and it like goes up to her and it pinches her nose, and it starts sucking the air out of her. It's like trying to take her like essence or her life or whatever.
Yeah.
Wow. And this cat like attacks it. And like there's this whole battle scene where he has like this little sword and he stabs the cat, and there's all this crazy stuff. It's on YouTube.
Okay.
You can watch it in about 5 to 7 minutes. It's the scariest thing ever. But I was so scared that troll lived in my wall when I was a kid.
So it was like a troll versus a cat.
It was a troll versus a cat. It sounds not scary, but when you're 6 years old, it was terrifying.
Nice.
Probably terrified you of cats.
No, it made me want a cat. I mean, that's why I keep cats around all the time now.
To fight the trolls.
That's right. Cats are everywhere.
It was Penny.
Come here, Penny. So yeah,
funny story.
Eye.
Actually, we're just talking about cats. My cat's name is Gizmo.
Yes.
Nice.
It actually looks like Gizmo from, and that's how we got the cat. The cat's name was already Gizmo. So I was like, we're keeping the name.
I have 3. I have Hurley, Shadow, and Mitty. So I'm safe.
There you go. Plenty of protection.
Nice.
I'll let you go one more, Jay, and then I'll do my last one, and then you finish off.
I'll do I'll say the Twilight Zone movie.
Okay.
I really liked the part with the thing on the wing.
Yes.
A little gremlin on the wing. And then the Tasmanian devil comes out of the TV, and just kind of a cool movie. I don't remember much else
with
about it.
John Lithgow.
Yeah, he was in that. Yep. The little
he was the one that was like
thoughts.
There's a thing on the wing of this plane.
Yeah.
And every time they looked, it wasn't there.
And they made fun of that on The Simpsons. One of the Treehouse of Horrors, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's definitely referenced.
I think I've only is the movie broken up into mini stories.
It is.
Okay, because I very distinctly remember the airplane. That's like the one that like just triggers you and always.
I feel like that's the last
remember.
one. I can't remember though.
Yeah.
Nice.
What do you got, Russ? You got one more?
One more. It's certainly a classic, and much like Twilight Zone, it's got mini series in there. Creep Show, 1982.
There you go.
Super classic. It's got a few little shorts in there, so you get a little bit of taste of everything. what was the line? Hey, lady, thanks for the ride. One of them, this guy's trying to hitchhike, and the lady ends up hitting him, right? And then she drives off, and then he keeps coming back, and he's like trying to get in the car, and he's like, "Hey, lady, thanks for the ride. Thanks for the ride."
Nice.
That one's classic. It's got the was it Stephen King actually is in it.
Oh,
he plays one of them. This guy's on a farm, sees a meteor crash to the earth, and he ends up going to explore it, and he like touches it, and he's like, "Ooh," and like sucks his finger or whatever. And then he gets home, and then grass and like mulch and stuff is growing all over the house, and then starts to grow on him.
Oh, I remember that.
Trying to deal with it. Yeah.
I remember that one.
So super fun creep show. They made a second one as well. And we watched that. Unfortunately, the Creep Show 2, I think, is on streaming on one of the services we have, but Creep Show 1 was not.
Dang.
And a few times I have gone to Goodwill and we found the DVD. And when I opened it up, there was no DVD in it. So I was like, come on. But
I'll keep my eyes out for you, Russ. If I find it, I'll send it to you.
You know, I love those little like mini series. I have been watching quick plug in. If you guys do have Hulu, they have like bite-sized Halloween, they call it, and you can watch it. It's like 20 or 30 like short horror movies. Some of them are like 2 minutes, some are 5 minutes, but I've been watching those kind of every day too.
Nice.
So according to Just Watch the app, you can stream for free Creepshow on an app called Canopy with a K.
Canopy. Cool. Okay. Maybe I'll have to download it and watch it that way.
Yeah, check that out. It's funny you mentioned that too. Is I actually did I worked on a short that was actually part of something similar that put on like there was like 5 shorts in the movie, and it came out on like a DVD or Blu-ray or whatever, and it's streaming somewhere. I'm not really sure, but same idea. Like those like little movies, shorts that they put together.
Nice.
Very
Then Jay, you got one more?
I got one more. 1986 horror comedy sci-fi. I remember they eventually released this movie on TV, so I got to see it as a kid on TV. But it was Critters.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I have that. I have that over there too.
Yeah,
big balls with razor teeth.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
rolling around.
Certainly creepy. Yeah. All those.
Now, did you guys see any of these movies like in theaters?
I didn't see any of them in theaters.
I don't think I saw any. Yeah.
I didn't. See
I saw Nightmare on Elm Street 5 as a kid, and
theaters.
The reason it's really funny. The reason I saw it is because I won preview tickets off of the radio, and my mom let me go with my brother. And I mean, I don't know what year the movie came out, but like I was probably 9 or 10 years old. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, like, and it didn't, and that was actually, I think, the first Freddy movie that I actually watched like all the way through. And then I went back and watched the other ones. But yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street 5, I saw in the theaters as like, I got to do the preview. You used to get like these long cardboard tickets from the radio station, and you would go and you'd be like, I won. And like, they'd let you into the theater, and it was like, they would do giveaways and stuff like that. It was pretty neat.
We either rented these or saw them like on USA, like during like the Halloween time, or like if it was like made for TV, like like if you had the basic channels back in the day, it would be like a Sunday night movie or something. I remember like stuff like that. So
Same here. Yeah, rentals certainly a good time, and brings you back.
Yeah,
classic 80s horror movies.
Now, Russ, you also, so we picked Nightmare on Elm Street, and we were talking about Nightmare on Elm Street. Do you know about these?
The nightmares. Maybe. I want to say yeah.
So this was a TV show.
Okay.
So this is a Freddy Krueger TV show. So there's episodes. This is 1991. So there's this one that I have. It's My Party and You'll Die If I Want To. And then this one is Freddy's Tricks and Treats. So pretty neat. He had his own like series, and you got that classic like on the back. I don't know if you could see it or not. I don't know if it's gonna go through, but anyway, it's got him right there like lounging or whatever.
Hanging
But
out.
pretty neat. I didn't know if you knew about him. It's Freddy's Nightmares the series, and I
Nice.
actually just found the vinyl soundtrack of the series. Pretty neat.
Oh, nice. You
Yeah.
need to find on vinyl if you guys haven't listened already, but search Nightmare on My Street. Will Smith and DJ Jazzy Jeff.
I
actually
I
own
just
it.
found that. I just found that at a thrift store.
That is a classic Halloween tune you should be playing.
What did you find at the thrift store?
The CD. I used to have
The
it on
CD.
tape though. I used to have it on tape when I was a kid.
So I actually
But that's
have
again right there.
the
On My Street.
I have the LP, not the LP. I'm sorry, the 12-inch single on vinyl.
Gotcha.
So with the sleeve and everything, it's got
Yeah.
it's got the Freddy like scratches on it. It's
I
pretty
liked
sick. Yeah.
I like when they did his voice, We got
Yeah.
a lot of work, me and you,
Right.
the souls of your friends, you and I will claim you've got the body and I've got the brains,
Nice. Yeah.
There's
Good one.
I want to say there's like a Kid Bop version
Oh wow.
of this
Oh,
song,
wow.
and they changed like whatever Freddie says like to make it more friendly and stuff like
Of
that.
course.
But I mean, you can have a
Nice.
listen it's on Spotify or whatever. But I'm like,
Just look up
that's
Kids Bop Nightmare,
Nightmare
on My
in
Street.
My Street. Yeah.
I like it when he
Silly.
calls DJ, he calls Jeff, and Jeff's getting caught up.
He's like, what are you doing?
yeah. He's like,
He's like, Jeff, wake up, man, wake up, Jeff.
yeah.
What, man? What?
He's sleeping.
He's my
Wakes him
DJ now, Princey.
So good.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was it. Our top list of 80s horror movies. Appreciate you guys listening and
Mhm.
tuning in. If you want to find stuff that I do, just search RussLyman. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. And you can check out bitbybit.life, or we got the weeklywarpipe.com as well set up.
Sick.
So
Is that
that's awesome.
the official announcement of your new website?
Yeah, well, Tom launched it. We're kind of in beta mode. We're tweaking some stuff, but yeah.
So
both-
y'all heard it first. New
amazing.
website, bitbybit.life.
Yeah, so check it out. Jay, where can we find you?
NES Addict on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all that jazz.
All that jazz. And David, our guest, if people want to search what you do, what are you up to?
Yeah, so I do have two Instagrams you can check out. It's just david.apuzzo. That's kind of like my personal one where I post like my collections and toy stuff and all that stuff. But then my movie stills is at Apuzzo Stills, APUZZO Stills. And that's where you see all my movie work and stuff like that. I am on YouTube. I'm not very active on YouTube, but I did direct and edit and to sound. I did a short last year.
Very
you
good
can check
short.
out on there as well. Yeah.
Nice.
Did you see it, Jay?
I did. Heck yeah. I watched the premiere.
That's
Ignition,
right.
right?
That's
Ignition?
right. Ignition. Yeah.
Ignition. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
First
Good
time
stuff.
I ever like delve into I filmed it. I edited it. I
Mhm.
did sound. I had to teach myself color correction.
I did drone work.
You did drone work. Yeah.
No,
Russ did drone-
you also did fog work.
Oh yeah. I was
When
on
we
the
had to shut the
can
car
of
off.
fog.
Yeah. It was like if you movie magic here, when he pulls the car in and he shuts off the car, you could see this kind of like fog, like it would be exhaust. That's actually fake. It's actually Russ behind the car shooting up. What is it called? It's like it's like an aerosol like mist. And as he shuts the car off, he misses it. There it is. Yep. He's got some right there. And it looks like the exhaust is just shutting off as he turns the car off.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So a little bit of movie magic. There it is. Atmosphere aerosol.
Aerosol. That's amazing.
I've used it in
Yeah.
some of my videos for like B-roll stuff. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
You get
That's
that on
cool.
Amazon, I believe.
Ooh,
It's pretty
spooky.
funny. Yeah.
Sweet.
Russ, you should do that when you do the intro.
Yeah.
Fog,
Hey,
fog
good.
yourself in.
Nice. Well, guys, thanks so much for listening to the Weekly Warp Pipe. As always, I'm RussLyman, and keep your world fun bit by bit.
Have a great week, everybody. David, it was awesome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This was fun. Thank you, guys.
Later.